Tonight on DC News Now at 6, a community in mourning after a teen is swept away in last week's floodwater. How neighbors in Carroll County are honoring that young life lost too soon. And police are investigating after a man is stabbed at a Montgomery County Transit Center. What we know so far. Plus, it's a big welcome home to the Washington Commanders as D.C. Council approves an historic deal, bringing the team back to the district, but not everyone is cheering. Scott?
And Marielle, we welcome back another beautiful afternoon across the DMV here with plenty of sunshine here and very comfortable temperatures. We'll let you know how long that lasts coming up.
And we are stretching your dollar with a new challenge aimed at stopping your spending. The craze around the new No Spend Challenge coming up.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Thanks so much for joining us for DC News Now at 6. I'm Marielle Carbone. Ben Dennis has the night off. Well, some breaking news for a case we've been covering for more than a decade. A Maryland mother accused of murdering her 2 children was arrested after a hospital discharge. Catherine Hoggle is accused of murdering her 2 children, Sarah and Jacob, after they disappeared back in September 2014. Now, over the years, Hoggle has faced several charges, including 2 counts of murder, but they've been dropped because evaluators concluded that she was incompetent to stand trial. Now, she had been committed at the Clifton T. Perkins Hospital, but on Friday, Hoggle was arrested after the state became aware that she was discharged from that hospital on July 23rd. She is expected for a bond hearing tomorrow. And our top story tonight is one that stunned so many people. A 13-year-old boy is dead after being swept away in Thursday's heavy rains in Mount Airy, Maryland. Now, family and friends will gather tonight to remember that young life. DC News Now's Dave Laval joins us from Watkins Park, where the vigil will take place. Dave, what can you tell us?
Well, good evening to you, Marielle. Right now it is quite empty and quiet here at Watkins Park, but that's going to change over the next couple of hours as tonight's vigil is scheduled to start at 8 o'clock. And of course, it is expected to be quite emotional. Mason Kearns died when floodwaters swept him into a drainage pipe Thursday behind the Watersville apartments. The area received at least 4 inches of rain. Mason attended classes at Mount Airy Middle School. His death not only stunned those who knew him, but those who didn't, like Maria Petrucci, who spoke about the tragedy the day after it happened with our Randy Bass.
It's really traumatic. You know, it's going to take a long time probably to sort it all out. Personally, when we were walking down here, it's like I could feel the sadness, and then when we came back up again, I'm feeling a lot right now.
Mount Airy police have not said if they have wrapped up their investigation into Mason's death. Again, tonight's vigil is scheduled to start at 8 o'clock. And we'll bring it to you on our later newscast starting at 9 p.m. We're live in Mount Airy, Maryland. Dave Laval, DC News Now.
All right, Dave, thank you. Well, today, a family that was rescued from floodwaters on Thursday met with crew members of Montgomery County's fire department. Montgomery County crews rescued 6 people, including 2 children, from floodwaters this week. One of those rescues involved 2 children. Fire officials say an 8-year-old was found standing on the roof of a submerged car, while a woman and her 2-year-old were trapped inside in the Bradley Boulevard and Mercy Hollow area. Now, thankfully, everyone was pulled out safely with no injuries, and the family gave thanks to officials for saving them.
It's definitely very emotional thing what they have done. They're courageous, so I have no words. I mean, all I can say from my heart is I keep praying for them, for their family, for the welfare of first responders throughout my life. I mean, that's a promise I can give.
And that family donated money to the station to show their gratitude and say that they hope the department uses it to continue helping others. We know it has been much quieter and much more dry this weekend than it was last week. We want to get a check-in with meteorologist Scott Sumner. And Scott, we're hoping it will stay that way tonight and into next week.
It will, Marielle, at least for part of the week anyway, and tonight for sure. We have mostly cloudy skies out there, but comfortable humidity levels and comfortable temperatures as we're situated at 80 degrees as we look towards the Pentagon in Pentagon City. So as far as temperatures here, where they are now at 80 degrees, they're going to be dropping through the 80s and in places that are higher above 80 degrees, but get into the 70s here by 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the evening, and eventually fall down to levels that were last night, roughly the lower and the middle 60s. So a very comfortable evening once ahead, very similar to what we had this morning when we woke up. Overnight lows expected here, like I said, 64 in D.C., but other areas will be in the 50s, like Frederick and Leesburg and Winchester and Cumberland and Kaiser as well. So a lot of 50s out towards our western communities, right around the Beltway, just a little bit milder, hovering around that 60 to 65 degree mark. So what about the weather headlines as we move forward in time? Yes, another pleasant night out there. The week starts off sunny, but the week ends with some showers around and no extreme heat and humidity expected, although the humidity will start to creep up here during the work week. We'll talk all about it and show it to you fully with that full 7-day forecast. Marielle.
All right, Scott, we'll talk to you later. New tonight, an investigation is underway after a man was stabbed at the Lake Forest Transit Center in Gaithersburg Saturday night. Police say it happened at the Transit Center at Lost Knife Road around 7:30 p.m. There they found a man who had been stabbed and rushed him to the hospital in serious condition. As of this morning, there's no suspect information or any word on that man's condition. And a man is in the hospital after a shooting overnight in Northwest D.C. Police say the shooting happened on S Street in the areas between DuPont Circle and Logan Circle around 1:30 a.m. The man was found conscious and breathing. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. And the 3 men responsible and involved in the deaths of a former Fairfax County couple have learned their punishment. Ralph Hendry and his wife, Kathy Brandel, vanished in February of 2024 while sailing on their catamaran in the Caribbean. Now, their bodies have never been found. Grenada's High Court sentenced Ron Mitchell, that's the bottom right, to 2 life sentences under a plea deal. He must serve at least 50 years in prison before he's eligible for parole. A second defendant received a 30-year sentence, while the third, 5 years. Prosecutors say the 3 killed the couple after they boarded their boat in St. George after they escaped from police custody. And a new job posting in Fairfax County is sparking some criticism, with the superintendent of the public school district looking to hire her own security detail. A listing on the district's website has an opening for a bodyguard for Dr. Michelle Reed. That person will be responsible for protecting her pretty much at all times. The position pays between $84,000 and nearly $144,000 a year. This Tuesday is that last day to apply. The school district has not replied to a request for comment on that job opening. And could our next ride be without a driver? The D.C. Council is considering a bill to determine if the district will allow driverless cars. D.C. News Now's Ben Dennis is diving into what this means for commuters and how people feel about what would be a noticeable difference on the roadways.
Imagine sometime down the road you're able to order a ride share. Once the car comes up, you do the routine. Get inside the back seat. Although once you look up front, there's nobody behind the wheel. Well, there's a bill now introduced in D.C. City Council to allow autonomous self-driving vehicles in the district, and one company has been testing this for 2 years. In a town full of planes, trains, and automobiles, the next car you hail to haul you to work or happy hour may have no driver in the front seat.
If I may, I would put some friends in the front seat as well, you know.
I feel like a sign of the future, but I feel like a sign of the future, they start small and then it gets big, so I don't know.
Is that scary?
A little bit, yeah.
A new bill introduced to City Council by at-large member Kenyon McDuffie would greenlight fully autonomous vehicles on public roads.
Test them like in sites where maybe there's not a lot of people first, with like objects that look like people or animals or things that could get hit.
The move would allow self-driving company Waymo to offer driverless rides. They've been testing them with specialists in the driver's seat, ready to make corrections if needed since 2024.
If I get access to a bunch of studies that prove that they are just as, if not more, safe than cars with drivers, then I'll be okay with them being green lighted.
Among cities who've okayed Waymo's tech, Reportedly, LA, Phoenix, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Austin. The bill says those approved to operate automated vehicles must pass certain permitting and be fully compliant with traffic laws. Plus, humans cannot be restricted from the ability to take over the controls and operate the vehicle.
I don't trust it. I want to have a person behind the wheel.
And because this bill was introduced late into D.C. City Council session for at least this part of the year, it might not be brought up for consideration and debate until mid-September. Meantime, Waymo tells me they're still hoping that they can launch their autonomous vehicles in 2026. In Northwest, Ben Dennis, back to you.
We're bringing that back again. We want that feeling and we want that location. It ties the city together and it's going to be incredible.
Well, the Commanders, they are just steps away from a return to Washington, D.C. The D.C. Council voting Friday to bring the team back home after weeks of negotiations and pressure from Capitol Hill. The $4 billion deal includes a new stadium, housing, retail, parking, green space, and more. It also includes a labor agreement with local unions for work doing construction and running the stadium. Still not all council members are on board with this. Robert White pushing for stronger penalties if the team does not meet its development deadlines. An amendment he proposed on the issue failed Friday.
We don't end up with just the stadium and not the housing and the grocery store that people are counting on. And if that's not enforceable, it may not happen.
The second and final vote on the massive deal is scheduled for September 17th. And in Virginia, today is the last day of the Fairfax County Fair and Carnival. It's at the historic Frying Pan Farm Park in Herndon. The 4-H Fair is hosting a closing ceremony at 4 p.m. The carnival closes at 8 p.m. Tickets are $21 online and $25 at the door. There is also a $10 parking fee, still a little bit of time to get over there tonight. But don't worry, fair season in the DMV, it does continue. The Montgomery County Fair kicks off Friday on opening day. The carnival opens at 3 p.m. and closes at midnight, and then for the rest of the fair, it opens at noon. The animal exhibits will be closed to the public Friday. There are shuttle buses to the fair, and they will operate out of the Montgomery College Rockville campus and the Germantown campus. And looking ahead, towns across the DMV are getting ready for National Night Out. It's an evening that brings police and the community together. Over in Maryland, the Montgomery County Assistant Police Chief sharing why the August 5th event is so important.
When residents know their neighbors and know the officers who serve them, it leads to better communication, quicker problem solving, and stronger communities overall.
Montgomery County Police plan to host 24 events across its 6 districts. And coming up, we are helping you stretch your dollar and save some money. How to get started with the No Spend Challenge so you can sock away some cash. The time is now 6:12 as we take a live look outside over the district on this Sunday evening. Scott Sumner will have your full forecast after this quick break, so be sure to stay with us.